Will we see Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 9? I believe we will, but before I answer why, I'd like to say welcome back to Force Within TV. I'm Mike, and I love the anticipation and speculation that leads up to Star Wars releases, so please consider subscribing and joining the conversation in the comments below. But back on track here. Why could we see Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 9? Well, Disney, after all, seems to be keeping the prequels at arm's length and really not exploring that era. That is until just recently. Remember, we have the prequel hero characters coming in Battlefront 2. We just recently had the announcement at San Diego Comic-Con that we will get a Padme novel called Queen's Shadow and the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan novel I'm really looking forward to called Master and the Apprentice. I'm also really enjoying reading about Anakin Skywalker and the Thrawn novel that was just released yesterday. Plus, there have been a couple prequel-era commas, but of course the biggest of these prequel announcements is the Clone Wars returning for Season 7. All of this seems to be pointing us in the direction of getting some prequel-era content in Episode 9. It's like Disney is preparing us for it with all these releases. That, or they finally realized that most Star Wars fans like the era, not just everything about the movies. But personally, I think it's a bit of both. But moving on here, we gotta remember that JJ wants to tie the trilogies together. Anakin is the main character in the prequels and a big character in the original trilogy, so for him to have no role in the sequel trilogy at all seems a bit ridiculous to me. Or at the very least, Luke should have had a larger role in the sequels. I just feel like if Anakin was such a mighty Jedi, then why hasn't he appeared to Ben in a Force vision yet? Why isn't he showing him the errors of his ways? At this point, it'd be better than nothing if he made an appearance, but I'm sure some think that it's too little too late. So the question then becomes, how could Anakin make an appearance in Episode 9? I think it would be amazing if Kylo Ren had some sort of Force vision similar to the one Rey has in Episode 7. And in that vision, he sees Anakin Skywalker. Perhaps he sees a lot of the regrets of Anakin Skywalker, and ultimately how he felt when he saved his son Luke Skywalker. We could also have Kylo finding some Darth Vader artifacts, and upon touching the artifacts he gets messages from Anakin. I forget what the name of that Force power is, but Quinlan Vos did something similar in Dark Disciple, the novel. Or maybe we just get Anakin Skywalker returning as a Force ghost to help save his grandson in the end. But there's definitely some ways that we could bring Anakin Skywalker back in Episode 9 and it would absolutely make sense. So then perhaps a bigger question is, should Hayden Christensen actually be allowed to be part of Episode 9? I mean, isn't that guy a horrible actor? Well, for me personally, I thought it was the written story and the direction from George Lucas that wasn't up to par. Hayden himself, I think, did as best he could. Another reason we should see Hayden is that so many fans grew up seeing the prequels, and Anakin is actually their favorite character. Not to mention all those other people who grew up watching the Clone Wars animation series, and again, many of them absolutely love the character Anakin Skywalker. I certainly don't call myself a social justice warrior, and I really hate that term, but I like the idea that Hayden Christensen would get some social justice by returning in Episode 9 that has had some serious hate from all those so-called Star Wars fans, despite the fact that he was just doing the best job that he could. And lastly here, Hayden should really return because he just doesn't look that different. We saw him last year with George at Star Wars Celebration, and he really doesn't look like he's aged that much. He could reprise the role of Anakin Skywalker, no problems at all. So there are a lot of reasons that Anakin Skywalker should return in Episode 9, but I think maybe number one here, and this is what I want to end with, is that Anakin Skywalker was just so much more developed in the Clone Wars animation series. And as more and more fans have watched the Clone Wars, it means that more and more of those fans have a greater appreciation for the character. So I know it's probably too late, but if anybody is listening at Lucasfilm, I say bring Hayden back. Thanks for all of you out there listening today. Remember to use the Force within you to make the Star Wars community a better place. Share your speculation and theories and support those who do the same. And you can start doing that by answering the question of the day. Do you think Anakin will show up in Episode 9? Let me know in the comments below, and may the Force be with you.